While every major game in the world has its iconic trophy or award, the thing about most of them is that they're not necessarily won by the players as much as they are won by the team. The one exception to that rule is, of course, the Super Bowl rings, which are made for and kept by the players. And that is also why they're among the most coveted sports awards in the world. But that doesn't mean that a lot of people know exactly how these paragons of design and luxury get made. So let's explore that in today's video. The design. Now, as anyone who has ever seen even a replica of a Super Bowl ring can tell you, these things are unlike any other rings, both in terms of their sheer size and also in terms of the intricacy of their designs. From the first Super Bowl ring that had a singular diamond at the center of a football in the form of a world logo with massive gold text around the whole thing commemorating the Green Bay Packers as the world champions, to the latest Rams ring for Super Bowl 56 that shows palm trees, the franchise logo, and the shape of the team's SoFi Stadium, all adorned with over 20 carats of diamonds. I think it's fair to say that the design of each ring is as unique as can be. That being said, there are usually a couple of consistencies. For example, the ring almost always mentions the team's name or logo along with the words World Champions around the ring's perimeter. The year the ring was won is also written alongside, while the sides of the rings mention the Super Bowl number along with the name and number of the player who won the ring. But besides the inclusion of these rings, the design changes each year, sometimes calling back to a franchise's history, like the 6 trophies on the Patriots' 2018 ring commemorating their 6 total wins, or the franchise's iconography like the Lambeau Field on the Packers' 2010 ring. But whatever the case may be, once the company's designer comes up with a suitable design, it can be converted into a digital 3D model that'll help create molds for the eventual ring. But before that can happen, there are still a few small steps before it can become a ring, because there's first the matter of testing models. You see, while the design might be approved in the form of images and sketches, there's always the possibility of the end product not looking as good compared to the original concept. So, to make sure that everything is according to the team's wants, the company makes some molds from the 3D model to cast some testing rings at the company's Denton design and testing facility. These rings then go back and forth between the company and the franchise while they figure out the finer details of the project. All in all, this process can take months, but after dozens of iterations, 3D models, and testing casts, the company finally has an exact design to cast into the actual rings. So let's now move on to the casting. Like most jeweled rings, the material for the Super Bowl rings is almost always high-quality 18-karat gold. That being said, a ton of alloys like rose or white gold have also been used. Hell, some rings even use multiple different kinds of gold, like the white and yellow gold combo on the 56th Super Bowl ring. But regardless of the choice of metal, the process of casting is pretty much the same. For it, the final 3D model is used to create unique molds for every one of the team members. These molds are then placed in a furnace along with gold pellets at 1500 degrees. This allows the gold to melt and flow into every minute detail of the ring, creating the final shape. And once the furnace has slowly been allowed to cool off, the casts can be broken to reveal the perfectly formed rings. But there's still a long way to go before they can be worthy of a winner's hand. For this, the first step has to be polishing. As you can imagine, plain casting something might give it the correct shape, but one thing it definitely doesn't do is give the metal the right finish. To get that, workers have to spend hours polishing each ring by hand on a polishing wheel. During this process, they remove all excess scraps of metal, polish rough surfaces, and smoothen out any harsh edges while also cleaning out any details that were left obscure during the casting process. In some cases, the rings may even have a two-tone effect, where part of the ring is polished while the other bits usually the recessed ones, remain unpolished. In these cases, the metal that is to be left unpolished is first covered with a sheet so its appearance isn't ruined. But whatever the exact design may be, once this process is complete, there's another element of shine that has to be added to the ring, that being the jewels. While the original Super Bowl ring only had a single diamond, all the ones since have only increased the number of diamonds used in each ring, and the number of gems only seems to increase as the rings get larger and more complex. As for their installations, the workers first have to source all the diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and any other gemstones that'll be used in the final rings. Then they have to cut them to the right shape so they remain consistent from ring to ring. Then comes the polishing, the cleaning, the testing, and only then can the gems be installed. And even that process is complicated, as a team of almost 45 people works on each ring to set the dozens, or in most cases, hundreds of diamonds to the rings. But once the setting is completed, the end result speaks for itself. But there are still a few tiny steps left before the ring can be brought into the hands of its final owner. Finishing. After all the manufacturing things have been completed, the ring is first cleaned to remove any stray dust left over from the setting and polishing. After this, the ring can be buffed on a rotating wheel to bring out the bling before the ring is sent off to be packed. For this, special boxes are crafted from high-quality wood that is then lacquered and printed with the name of the recipient. The box can then be fitted with a display stand for the ring before being packed and locked for the franchise to present to the players. And that brings us to the last part of the video. How valuable are they? Now, as we mentioned, Super Bowl rings have grown in size and complexity each subsequent year after the first one was introduced, and that comes with an increase in the price. Hell, the gold alone can reach more than 100 grams in weight, with the gems adding more than 100 more. In some cases, the rings can have more than 200 grams of gems installed on them. All this means that each ring is going to be super expensive. So, who pays for it? Well, the NBA itself gives the franchise $5,000 to $7,000 per ring for almost 150 rings per team, with allocations for coaches, management, aides, and anyone else the team decides is worthy of the ring. But that is far from being enough to cover the cost of the ring. As a result, the remaining is paid for by the team itself. So, how much do they cost? Well, according to most estimates, each ring can cost anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000. But with the value they provide to their winners, I'm sure that this sum means nothing to the team. Click on any one of the 4 videos on your screen right now. We'll catch you guys in the next one.